return them back home. And the other model would be in the task force model, which I hope many of you have the opportunity to cooperate with us in, where we can use our different authorities to go out and go after the worst of the worst, those targeted operations that go after violent offenders and criminal offenders, and that we can bring them to justice and get them out of your city and your state. We've seen that program go from before President Trump was in office to only 135 of those agreements across the country signed, to now we have over 1,400 of them in place. And it's been very beneficial to make sure that we've removed over 400,000 criminal offenders out of this country. We've seen 3 million people leave our country that were here illegally, but over 750,000 of them were arrested and detained and removed. We'd much rather prefer that they volunteer to go home and that it can be a volunteer situation, but if not, if people are here illegally and committing crimes, we want to make sure we're able to detain them and get them out of your communities before we create more victims in the United States. I'm grateful for the work that you do because it's made a difference across this country. This last year, we've seen our murder rate in the United States of America drop to the lowest level since it's ever been recorded. And we've recorded our murder rate across the country for 125 years, and this year we broke the record for the lowest murder rate in the country, and that's because of the work of individuals in this room and individuals that we've been able to partner with. We've also taken 1.7 billion lethal doses of drugs off our streets and stopped them from coming into the United States. That means 1.7 billion people will still be with us because of the work that our agencies and our work has done. Our Coast Guard is an important asset in the Department of Homeland Security, and they've worked with us, and maybe have worked with some of you in the room as well, to help interdict those drugs and stop them from coming into our country. You know, President Trump has been working hard to make sure that he's delivering on what he promised the American people, and that's to make America safe again. In doing so, we have gone out and found over 1,500 known and suspected terrorists that were let into this country over the open border invasion that we saw during the last administration. Those 1,500 individuals who were already on our known and suspected terrorist watch list have been brought to justice and removed. We know there's many more, but we're going to still continue to look for them, to find them, and to do all that we can to make sure that this country is safe. Beyond that, we've also arrested and removed over 7,700 gang members, TDA members, MS-13, Sinaloa cartel. The president is extremely focused on fighting cartels and recognize them as a foreign terrorist organization so that we can have new authorities to go after them. And we'll be working throughout the Western Hemisphere with all the countries to make sure that we're biting the snake off, cutting its head off with fighting the cartels before they ever reach the United States, stopping the drug flow, stopping the guns and ammunition from getting here and hurting our families and the homeland. We'll continue to work together to make sure that we have the opportunity to do that. To everybody in the room that puts on a uniform, that wears a badge, that steps out every single day and does something that so few others do, put your life on the line for your brothers and your sisters and your families, and you do it in your home community, I want to say thank you. And I also want to let you know that I believe that if there's something that you need for your families, that you need to let us know. I've found many times people can't do their job with excellence if there's a crisis at home. I've been working to get raises and better salaries and retirements for all of our law enforcement officers that are at the Department of Homeland Security, because I recognize that if you're having challenges at home financially, providing for your family, working overtime to make ends meet, trying to buy a house and put food on the table, it's very difficult to focus on your job and to do it with excellence. We want to take care of our families. So all of your suggestions and ideas, bring them forward. I will continue to push for that because I'm a strong believer that we need you at the top of your game every day. And that means that your family needs to be right beside you, happy, healthy, and whole, and that God can continue to protect you and protect them and make sure that you have a chance at the American dream too. So with that, why don't we open it up to some questions? I know some of you may have some prepared and some of you may just thought, hey, I've always wanted to ask her this. You sure can.
Secretary.
Yes, sir.
Rob, no, say that.
Yes.
So
Thank you.
Given our current state in Chicago, we understand that we have no qualms about the sanctuary law enforcement, but more of a targeted response. I think the hearts and minds of a lot of, I'm a great grandson of Mexican Polish immigrants. A lot of people, they just, when you go after, for lack of a better term, the tamale lady, it kind of like, they've been there 30 years, they're not causing trouble as opposed to the criminals you just mentioned.
Right.
I think that needs to be the focus in Chicago, and more strategic planning that needs to happen similar. I think Tom Holland is suited for that as a former New York cop.
Yeah, no, I think that's great advice. I don't know if you guys heard that question, but he talked about targeted enforcement, and Rob was saying how it's much more effective in a lot of, especially these sanctuary cities, where we can work on targeting those individuals who have a criminal history besides their legal status that may be in violation of their visa or work permit, but that we work on those and make sure we're going out and doing that with the local law enforcement as much as we possibly can. And that is something that we are going to continue to do, and make sure that we're focusing and prioritizing those individuals and make sure that we're addressing the public safety threats there. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Tax-free pensions for retirees, law enforcement, and first responders. I think that'd be a great pitch.
Okay, let me visit with him about it. That'd be great. Well, we're talking about doing some other tax benefits for other, so that may be something we could wrap into that conversation. Great idea. Perfect. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Madam Secretary. My name is Chris Callaghan. I'm the Vice President of San Francisco Police Officers Association. First of all, I just want to say thank you for recognizing major cities and all of our police unions here across the nation. It means a great deal for you to be here today, so thank you for that. My question, local officers have increasingly been on the front lines of Homeland Security, yet we are still funded and staffed like a city responsibility, not a national one. How will DHS ensure local agencies aren't carrying federal priorities on local budgets and with local staffing?
So you maybe have some challenges in San Francisco just because of your state laws and local laws that may, although you've got a mayor that works with us very well.
That's great.
He probably doesn't want me to talk about it a lot, actually, but he has been cooperative, and we have great conversations and talk quite often. And many times in doing law enforcement in your city, if the federal task force is coming in, you know, it's more preferable for the FBI to lead and the Department of Homeland Security to come in supportive roles, which is what we've done, and that works very well in your city. Thank you for your focus there, too. I think the city is seeing some dramatic improvements under this leadership. When you talk about funding, we have tied a lot of our funding that we have for enforcement this year and prioritized over $1.5 billion towards 287G agreements. So we've reimbursed departments that have an agreement, or a county or a sheriff, with funding them on overtime or on benefits, some of the other things that we can do. We've also, on the jail model, obviously reimbursed per beds. If you don't have the opportunity to participate in 287G, I think your best options for funding alternatives would be through some grants that we have at the department. We have specific grants towards terrorism grants that you can do, some security grants. And there's hazard mitigation grants that are in Homeland Security, safety grants through FEMA that would be available. So maybe what I'll do is I will forward those grant opportunities to all of you so that you can share them with your departments and have that opportunity. We also have some grants specifically targeted towards special operations. So if you've got some special operations that fit into that category, we could get you some funding that way.
Great. Thank you, ma'am.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Yes. Hi, Craig. Yes.
One police officer and one sergeant called Border Patrol for assistance, and then after that happened, he tried to fire them for asking Border Patrol to come assist them.
Oh, shoot.
Most recently, they just suspended both officers for 30 days without pay.
The Border Patrol?
No, Detroit
those
police.
officers in Detroit.
Yeah, Detroit
Okay.
police. So the one incident was the female of the house called because the husband was trying to break into the house. When the officers got there, he had a bad passport and a bad Social Security card. So they called Border Patrol for assistance. They ended up taking him to jail because he had a warrant outside the city of Detroit. The second one was, it was a traffic stop. the fingerprint reader wasn't working, so they called for them to bring theirs over there, and the person had a warrant also. So both officers got suspended without pay for 30 days.
So did the officers that did the arresting, was that the Detroit officers that did it, or did the Border Patrol?
Border Patrol ended up arresting them because one had an out the city warrant, and the other one had other information that.
Okay. That's one of the things that I think a lot of citizens don't necessarily know, is that CBP and ICE are law enforcement officers and do enforce other crimes that have been committed. But if we can be advocates for those law enforcement officers, we certainly will. And maybe we could come up with some kind of an agreement that would allow those officers to still be able to call on Border Patrol for backup and assistance when they need it. I hate to put them in a situation where now the officers in Detroit, when they need help and need assistance, that they can't call on Border Patrol when they might be the closest asset. So maybe I'll get some contact information from you and see what we can do to work out an agreement with Detroit on being able to call on Border Patrol with some guidance on how those interactions will work.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Secretary. My name is Don Famuina, and I represent the State of Hawaii Organization of Police Officers. First of all, I would like to extend our sincerest aloha and mahalo for all that you and your administration are doing. Given Hawaii's status as a major international gateway, how is DHS balancing the current administration's strict zero-tolerance border policies with the unique reality of Hawaii's isolated geography and its dependence on international tourism?
Yeah, you do have some unique situations for us, and I hope that we've worked well with you. We have a presence in Hawaii, where you wouldn't necessarily see a large ICE presence doing immigration enforcement. More of what we are pursuing in Hawaii would be through our TSA officials, and then also we have CBP there, of course, because of all the travel back and forth and individuals. CBP is the largest law enforcement agency that we have, one of the largest in the country, and it does all traveler information internationally, and so I'm sure that you're interacting with them quite often. So we don't, as far as targeted operations, you may see a presence in Hawaii if we know specific individuals there. And we are tracking and have signed security agreements with other countries. I think since I've been Homeland Security Secretary, we've signed 27 different security agreements with other countries to share information with us. If they have a dangerous individual that they think maybe has traveled into the United States, we will share those databases with each other. They share theirs with us so that we know when some of these individuals are coming into the country. And that may be, I'd say, the vast majority of the interactions you'll see in Hawaii. If you've got some suggestions for us or experience, I'd sure love to hear it.
We'll definitely do that. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name's Jeff Wader. I'm the proud president of the Rochester Police Locust Club, located between Buffalo and Syracuse, and just a shameless plug, go Bills.
Yeah, that's right, good.
So I used to have, my T of O is 728 officers.
Okay.
I'm currently down to 594. And I had two more come in the other day that they're retiring. And we have a very, very difficult time retaining our members, but also hiring. And I know this is a issue throughout the country, especially in larger communities. My question to you is the federal government and or the Trump administration, are they able to provide bonuses for retention and bonuses for hiring incentives to start building back our staff?
I don't know if we do for local and state law enforcement agencies. We have been doing that at our federal level with our departments, CBP and ICE. We have done that. We also, I put in the budget request a 10% increase for all of our federal officers. I wasn't granted that, but we're gonna get there hopefully in this next budget round. I will look to see what latitude we have to do that. We'd have to do it in a way of grants with restrictions that it could only be plugged into salaries and bonuses. I think, you tell me, we've done a lot of hiring bonuses. And for me, it is just as important to do retention bonuses. I think it must be extremely discouraging for officers who've served for years to see other individuals hired with a huge hiring bonus while they've been showing up and been dependable and been doing the work day after day and not see that. So it's one of those things that we're working on in our department as well.
Thank you. And just a side note to that is that we're seeing things now where Officers will buy 3 years worth of military time, and they do 17 years, and they walk out the door at 20.
That's
so they're
right.
not even doing their full 20 anymore. They just want to get out. So
That's right.
whatever we can do to help retain them and
Hang on to them. Did you lose most of your people through retirements and early retirements like that?
yes.
Yeah.
Since 2020, we had our riots and our protests. Our projection right now is by 2030, 54% of my membership will be eligible to retire.
Okay.
And they're projecting that we'll be down to 500 officers at that point.
See, and that's our challenge at the federal level, too. We've got Secret Service is under my department, and we see that, though, through other federal agencies, that we've got the next 2 or 3 years a high number of retirements coming our way. We've done huge recruitment drives, and we've hired a lot of new officers, but we also need to hang on to them and make sure we're taking care of the ones that are with us. All right, let me look at that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hey. Good afternoon, Madam Secretary. Thank you
afternoon.
for taking the time out of your busy schedule to answer our questions. My name is John Crystal. I'm a captain with the Newark Police Department and the president of the Newark Police Superior Officers Association. Question here is, how does the Department of Homeland Security foresee the current Trump administration reconciling federal policies with state policies in referencing to the sharing of information by local and state agencies when it comes to illegal aliens wanted for crimes? Mm-hmm. Some of our sanctuary states, just like New Jersey and Newark, they've implemented policies, executive orders, introduced legislation barring cooperation with the Department of Homeland Security with sharing of this information.
Yeah, I was disappointed to see that come out of New Jersey. It's been hard to see that. We've seen several states and governors stand up and say that they were going to stop cooperation and make it illegal to partner with us. One of the things that we need to do a little bit more is highlight how our 287G agreements can be flexible and can work differently. I'm coming to meet with a lot of the New York State sheriffs here real soon and get some ideas from them on ways that we can have informal agreements if necessary to do that. There's also, I found that a lot of sheriff's departments, smaller departments, don't necessarily have the technology they need as far as retina scanning or databases that feed into the federal systems. And if we can help with some technology funding and get that into these departments, it would help us on the national scale, the federal scale, but also help you guys be able to get people logged into the system, and at least we would know where these bad actors are. Even if there's not much cooperation going on as far as honoring our detainers or cooperating with us, at least if we know where these criminals are, we can still be aware for when they're released on the streets. But it's, for us, our preference is to always figure out a way that we can work together. On enforcement operations, at least to be able to have local law enforcement provide backup or respond should we need officer assistance. Beyond that, it'd be great to have these communities honoring our detainers. But I will continue to go talk to these governors, have conversations with leaders and state legislators to see what I can do to push back on some of this legislation we're seeing.
All right, thank you very much. Oh, by the way, another question. Are you religious? Because you're the answer to all my prayers.
Oh, there we go. I am, sir. And who knew?
Oh, gosh.
Good deal. You're going to have to top that one. I don't know.
I don't know. That's a tough act to follow.
Right.
Let me
He
tell you
might
something.
be my favorite.
New York's always hard to follow.
That's right, it is.
Guys, okay. I'm Sergeant Walcott. I'm the Chief Steward with the Memphis Police Association for Memphis Police Department.
Well, look at you. You guys have been rock stars.
Woo! Y'all have been rock stars helping us out. So I don't get this up a little higher. Firstly, everyone in this room knows that Memphis has statistically been one of, and in some years, the most dangerous city in the United States. Mm-hmm. The federal support that our department has received since September of 2024 has been nothing short of a miracle. Our crime rates are much lower when compared to the same exact months the preceding year when we had no help. And I don't mean lower like the national average. I mean lower like our murder rate is down 35%. Mm-hmm. Our aggravated assaults are also down 35%. These are current numbers. Our robbery rates are down 58%. Mm-hmm. And our motor vehicle thefts are down 68%. I say all this to say thank you for this help. And it has been invaluable and truly proves that more law enforcement with reasonable but aggressive tactics equals less crime. My question to you would be the following. I'm extremely concerned about cartel activity, which you touched on shortly ago, all throughout the country regarding drugs and human trafficking, but especially in Memphis, as it's considered a hub for the cartels. Is ICE itself putting any extra special emphasis on cartel activity, in particular since their reach appears to be much longer than most people realize, and they reportedly even threaten agents with bounties? And does classifying cartels as terrorists help combat them from that? Is that a tool to help you combat them?
It does. When President Trump declared the cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, it opens up the door for a lot more authorities that we can use to go after them. So now, and you've seen him, obviously, partner and take action against leaders even in Mexico. And that is just the start of the operation that we are undertaking as the Trump administration. Listen, what happened under the last administration by having that open border, it allowed the cartels to get rich, to grow, to become, they had unfettered access, and their ability to make money was compounded over and over and over again. They could do whatever they want with the human trafficking and drug trafficking. So they are extremely, extremely wealthy and strong and sophisticated in the technology we see them using against us, and their ability to operate in cyberspace as well, and then with how they're using drones to bring drugs over the border now, and tunnels that are almost like pipelines where they're not even large enough to shoot people through, but they are enough to get drugs through. So we have all kinds of new challenges, and that's why President Trump is undertaking going after the cartels by addressing it from the Western Hemisphere. He will have a big agreement that I'll be there with him on Saturday with the Department of War and the Department of State on how we're going to go after cartels and drug trafficking in the entire Western Hemisphere. So this challenge, we've realized, is big. We've always known that, but if we're really going to address it, we have to look outside of our borders to kill off the cartels before they continue to build up more and more strength and keep killing our Americans. But you guys have done what, I think everybody in the room wants to grow up and be Memphis for what you did. But I would say that for the work that happened, just so everybody knows, what happened in Memphis was their mayor was willing to work with us, who is a Democrat, was willing to partner with the federal government, and the resources and dollars that went in were not just from the Department of Homeland Security. The Department of War contributed, the Department of Justice contributed. It was incredible to see different agencies in the federal government go and show up and cover the costs of having that operation and make sure that people there could see a difference and they could see hope again. And people almost need to see it and feel it. That's what happened in D.C. when we did the D.C. operation. Is it took a few weeks for people to realize and feel the difference of what it was like to be in a city where you could walk down the street again, where you could go have dinner again. You didn't have to worry about your car being carjacked if you wanted to go out for dinner that night. And once people feel that, it's almost like they get to feel freedom again. And that's what Memphis is providing to them. So we need to figure out a way to tell your story to other cities and show them that it can be an opportunity to restore their way of life again.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you for
so
your
much.
leadership. You
Yes,
bet.
ma'am. Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes, sir. You bet.
But the obvious difficulties and implications of having the sanctuary city laws and the states not supporting the feds and things like that. What are some of the vehicles that you guys can use or will use to try to, I don't want to say get around that, but work with the conditions that you guys are under to still be effective as federal law enforcement in those sanctuary city areas?
Well, if it's a sanctuary city, we have an opportunity to form partnerships then with sheriffs and do that in a state. Many times sheriffs are elected officials and they're accountable for what their crime numbers are in their counties, and they're very close to the people. So we find a lot of progress working with sheriffs and in those situations. If it's an entire sanctuary state, most of those sheriffs and police departments are concerned about liability issues and the laws that may be on the books. I would say that for all of you, though, to know that a sanctuary state looks very different from state to state. The laws may be completely different. So if you are interested, if you are a sanctuary state or city, I need to come sit with you or have someone from our team come sit with you, really go through with my attorneys your state laws and see how we could still work together and not have you live in fear of being punished or being held criminally liable for not abiding by those sanctuary laws. We can challenge them, and the federal government and Department of Justice is going to be challenging sanctuary states and laws. In fact, today in the House Judiciary Committee, they're marking up a bill in Congress that would ban sanctuary cities and states, that would use the supremacy clause. So if we could, it will pass out of committee, I think, and pass out of the House. We're hopeful the Senate would take that up, but it's a constitutional compliant piece of legislation that would fundamentally change the way that we do public safety across the country. So if that can happen in the meantime, we figure out how we can work together to do notification of individuals that may be released or individuals that we could partner with you to get them out of your community. You bet. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. This is going to sound a little bit like a sales pitch, but it's not, I assure you. I work for a company called Vertex. We already have a very nice contract with Homeland Security, so this doesn't count.
Good.
I bring a unique perspective. I don't have a question for you. I have a comment.
Okay.
I live just outside the city of Portland.
Mm-hmm.
I work on our federal team, so I work with your agents all over the country. HSI, ICE, Secret Service. I see them being treated like garbage in various places, up to and including with extreme violence. The perspective I bring is this: I have not worked with a better group of people, more professional, humble, quiet professionals. They're amazing men and women, all of them, and I didn't want to miss this opportunity to tell you that directly. So thank you very much. That goes to you, your staff, and all of your agents across the country.
Well,
thank you very much.
Thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. I will let them know that you said that. That means a lot to them. They face some challenging times. They have a lot of good days too, but they're just trying to do the right thing and make sure that we're doing the job and upholding the oath that everybody took when they signed up for law enforcement. So, well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for letting me be with you. You have a fantastic meeting. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for coming to this conference and spending some time together. I hope you get some fellowship. From what I understand, cops are pretty good at that. So you have fun. I'm sorry I can't stick around for it, but God bless you. And may God continue to bless our great country. Have a great day.
Guys, just take your seats until we get to the motorcade, and then we're going to take a break.